Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Rap Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Rap Podcast with me, Lee G, and joining me as always is Rees and Jamie. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you both?
Not too bad this week.
Not too bad. Oh, we'll get on to there's nothing to talk about this week, is there? So normally now I'd introduce Carwyn and take the piss a little, but just because it's easy. But he's not with us this week. He's got to work, apparently, go and save lives and, deliver emergency recovery positions and all of that kind of stuff, allegedly, the week that he gets pasted by Cardiff at Judgement Day. So joining us this week is James, a fellow Ospreys, unhappy, disgruntled, pissed off. How would you put it on a scale at the minute, James?
Do you know what? I think Dewi Lake said it best in the presser. At times we've been an 8, but now I feel like a 2. We was truly awful on Saturday. Thank God the season's over.
For some of you, the rest of you, you can start your summer holidays. Some of us have got another week or 2 left to go. Like, you boys carry on. Okay, nobody's reacting to that one then.
Yeah. Let's see how you go on Saturday. Let's see what happens Saturday first.
Okay, fair enough. Right, let's start with drink of the week. So I'm going to go first this week, okay? Because I've got a fake Guinness, yeah, and I'll be honest. So it's the BrewDog version. It's Black Heart. After switch, quite apt after Saturday. I checked the alcohol percentage this week before pouring it. This week is 4.1, which is quite good. But I've got to be honest, once you've had a Guinness, like other stouts struggle to kind of match. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even the pouring wasn't nice. So it's okay. And if you were just drinking this all night, I guess you'd be okay. But it's not Guinness. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but not to worry. So, James, what have you got, mate?
Well, I did not have time to go get a beer, so I am on the plum gin.
Is it neat?
A rather large one. It's not neat. It should be. It might as well be.
If that was neat gin, then you're in for a proper night, mate.
Yeah. It's neater than the Ospreys alignment on Saturday. So
Absolutely.
Rees, what have you got, mate?
Well, I just thought I'd go Cardiff, even though it's not really a Cardiff company anymore. But I go for a brains this week, and I got a Reverend James.
Good choice.
Being the dickhead I am, I'm living in my shed, as you all know, sort of thing, and I haven't got a bottle open.
I was going to say you haven't opened it.
Good planning, Rees. Well done.
Yeah, I know. It's, yeah. So you might hear me sort of try to smash the top off the bottle.
Use your teeth.
Yeah.
Do it for the WIU, Rees.
Yeah.
If you were from Newport, you'd have just like crack it with your teeth and
Okay.
So what have you got, Jamie? What's your tipple this week?
Well, I just got a lager they've had a couple of times in the pod. I got that Heineken Silver again. No, it's the 4% version of Heineken. It's got to be drunk by the end of the month. So I got to get through them now. That's the only reason I got it on. Yeah. So
how many did you have on Saturday, James, after watching the Dragons do their thing?
Oh, I couldn't put a number on it, Reese, to be honest.
Well, I'll put a number on something, 12.5%, which was the beer that Carwin bought you in Tiny Rebel.
What the fuck was that?
12.5%. I don't know, mate, but
it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I said, I gave it a sip to everyone, didn't I? I said, taste that. Oh, it was fucking rank. Nobody liked it. I don't know what it was. He did tell me what it was called. I can't remember, but it was fucking awful.
Wine.
Won't be drinking that again. It definitely wasn't wine. No, it was horrible. It was like a vinegary beer, vinegar beer, like it was really sharp, and it was horrible.
Are you
Really
sure
horrible.
you didn't just like mind sweep the tables and come back and say, I got you this?
I don't know what was going on, but it was fucking awful, that beer he got.
Well, when Carwin's wife dropped us into town, one of the things that she said was, make sure he's to make a prick of himself. And then he started then he started drinking. And by the time we got to the stadium, the game was lost. The game I'd failed by the time we got to the stadium. So
Carwin was pissed, wasn't he? He was pissed.
Yeah. The amount of times he said to me, "Oh, come out on the beer, and all that kind of stuff."
He was desperate to get you out.
He was. Well, we haven't like we speak over social media and stuff, but we haven't really been out on a session for God knows how long, for 20 odd years, And we were saying before the game, the very first time we went for a beer together, we were at a presentation, an athletics presentation, and we must have been about 14, 15, something like that. And we'd never ordered a pint of alcohol before, and I'd only ever seen it on Coronation Street. So I went up to the bar. And I went, "I'll have a pint, please." And he went, "A pint of what?" And I was done. I go, I don't know. That. Yeah. I just pointed to the closest thing in front of me. And we were absolutely ratted that night, obviously. And pretty much every night that I've been out with Carwin has been quite messy. So I was...
I've been to the Liberty Stadium with him a couple of times. Every time I go with Carwin, I think that's the special sauce. If I go with Carwin, Cardiff loses to the Ospreys. If I stay away, it seems to work better. But I just remember going, we nearly missed our train on the way back, and we were sort of chatting about what we'd tell our wives and why we missed the train. And we got on the train, and Carwin had everybody in our carriage singing Welsh rugby songs on the way back to Cardiff.
Yeah. Well,
he's the man who gets the party started.
He is, mate. When we come on to talk about Judgement Day in a minute, I'll tell you what he got up to at half-time in the Dragons game, in the Ospreys game as well, and I'll tell you where he ended up and how. But when we were going back, we went back to his place on the train. So we got the train from Cardiff, and he basically just went down the train going, "Do you listen to our podcast? We're the Rap Podcast." And just,
What's he doing?
Random strangers on the train that they needed to listen to our podcast because we're fucking amazing.
That's not cringy at all, is it?
Oh my God!
What's the matter with him?
When you're sitting there,
we'll have 400 listeners now.
But when you're sitting there and you've got like a 5-year-old that just won't do as they're told, no matter what they do. That's what Carwin's like after a couple of beers. So
from the heights of the Squid Rugby podcast to telling people on the train to listen to your podcast.
And in the stadium, he was like it in the stadium as well. Got to listen to our pod. the poor woman sat next to him was yeah. So let's we'll come back to Judgment Day in a minute and what Carwyn got up to, but let's do a little bit of rugby news first of all. So signatures, people leaving, various bits and bobs, but let's start with Dai Young. And
yes.
I mean, we did talk about it a bit on Saturday, but yeah.
We only had 2 watches, didn't we? Those 2 people are well versed on it. Like we were speaking before the pod, just finding out about it. Like I was telling you, like, any other season, I'd have absolutely lost my shit and got absolutely furious. But this season, it's just going, oh yeah, that happens in Welsh rugby. And I still don't know what's happened apart from complaints were made by employees. Nobody specified if that's above or below, where he stands in the organisation. So maybe some rumor mongers could contact me on Twitter or something and maybe tell me a few stories. But yeah, I mean, what a thing to happen. And like that, it didn't bode well then for the next day. With the Judgment Day and playing the Ospreys, and like the game went at the Arms Park back a couple of months ago. But yeah, so just waited to find out what's happening. Does that mean we've lost Dai Young now as director of rugby and coach, or is he coming back? So it's just Welsh rugby, isn't it?
The timing of it is very Welsh rugby, isn't it? It's like
beautifully so. It's like a tradition now, isn't it? It's like, you can't say it on Sunday, you have to say it on Friday.
Yeah, before the game. Yeah.
The timing was pretty, as you said, very Welsh rugby, because you had Peter Thomas's funeral. I don't know if it was on the same day, but it was on that weekend.
I think it was.
I mean, it's just, it's hard to know exactly what's going on because we haven't got enough information. But I mean, you can speculate, and for me anyway, it's got massive Dean Ryan vibes about this, because this is what was happening with Dean Ryan. The allegations from staff, unhappy. Like, I'm not saying it's bullying for sure, but it does. It's very similar to what was happening at the Dragons with Dean Ryan.
We were speaking, weren't we? Like, back at the start of the season, about the stuff happening with Dean Ryan, and there was rumbles and murmurs and things, wasn't there, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I know I'm not across Twitter like some of us, what have you, but I wasn't hearing any of that from friends and fellow supporters and stuff like that. So quite possibly it's just maybe like organising a different way that we just weren't hearing that stuff. But
the Cardiff one with Dai, it was a bolt out of the blue, wasn't it? Nobody was expecting it. But the Dragons one was different because there was a lot of rumblings going on with the players, and I was getting DMs from people saying that the academy boys have fucked off with Dean, and there's been a lot of arguments going on about Strumman. You could see it coming. And of course, after the Edinburgh game there, when he threw the players under the bus, that was the excuse. They needed to go, okay, Dean, now it's time to fuck off like that. But with Dai, I mean, no one saw this coming. And I have to be honest, I thought it was strange when Richard Hodges did the press conference in the week, because I thought, well, why is he doing the press conference? Because it should be Dai Young, shouldn't there? And Richard Hodges is leaving as well. Yeah. So it didn't make sense to me why he was doing the press conference. But of course, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? Dai wasn't available. So, well, they did a pretty good job on Judgment Day, didn't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah. But and we'll talk about that tonight.
Well, I think for me, I think we might come on to this, but the way Thomas Young handled it as well. I think we probably come back on. Yeah. He's a consummate professional anyway. I think, throughout his career, and something I noticed when he was at Wasps was, he's only there because of his old man. He's starting, he's captain, whatever. But the way he went about his business, sort of on the weekend, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm not Thomas Young's biggest fan. I appreciate he's a very good player. I just, I think there are sevens ahead of him who are better. But the way he handled his business in the light of everything, he could have crumbled, and my old man's in a bit of trouble, and he didn't. And they highlighted it on Scrum 5. I think it was Hooky or Horseman who said it.
Yeah.
I think it's a credit to him, and his family to plough on through that.
Yeah, good point.
I think he's always had to work harder because he's been at clubs where his father's been at, isn't it? He's always
you could say that.
He's like a separation from his father, sort of thing. That so when he plays, he has to prove to everybody every time why he's there.
He works twice as hard.
Yeah. Well, let's say we'll come on to Judgment Day later, but we've just seen tonight, like Cardiff have signed Cabango, but how do Cardiff now? Who does the negotiating for Cardiff for contracts and all of that kind of stuff? Do you know what I mean? You've got, is it the Cardiff attack coach or defence, or is it both of them leaving?
They should have, like at the Dragons, there's a recruitment guy. So his name is Rob Burgess, and he's the head of recruitment at the Dragons, and he works with Di Flanagan. So I'm guessing Cardiff will have a head of recruitment, and they'll work with either the coaches or the board or whoever.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point. Is like, who does he work with? It's usually the team manager, like Phil Daniels does it down in the Scarlets. But if you've not got Dai Young there, and you've got various coaches leaving, do you know what I mean? It's like, I know it just must make it really, really difficult now. On top of a stupid season already for Cardiff, they should be on top of the world. They should be, we're in the European big league next year, all sorted. We finished. We weren't that far away from the playoffs. We actually, finished the season in style. Pop, there's the balloon gone, and you're pretty much back to the quagmire that has been the 22-23 season for Welsh rugby, really, isn't it? But it's
We've got two wingers for next season, haven't we? We've got Josh Adams and Theo Cabango. We just need to get them the ball somehow, but I'm not sure who's going to be there.
You only have about £6.50 left. I don't know how you're going to say we'll keep putting it out on this podcast that we're available. I've only got half a knee, but that's all right.
I think
I am interested. I am interested to see the list of leavers when Cardiff finally do put it out. Because I think it's going to be quite a lot. It's going to be a lot of big names. Well, we know big names already gone. We know the likes of Dylan Lewis, Jared Evans, etc. all going. I think it could be a very difficult season for Cardiff next year, especially though they got to compete in the Champions Cup now.
Well,
which on the one hand they'll be excited about, but on the other hand they haven't got a squad to compete. If they get drawn in a really tough pool, it's going to be so difficult for them.
If the pooling system's the same, they're going to be facing Saracens to lose next year. If Saracens win the Premiership, which, let's be fair, the Death Star is fully operational, and Toulouse storm the top 14, it's going to be Saracens and Toulouse. Which, if Montpellier, Leicester, or Saracens Toulouse, I'd take Montpellier, Leicester any day of the week.
Cardiff are in for a tough season, aren't they? Well,
they are.
So
we talked about it on the pod last week, didn't we? About do you go? do you accept that you want to be in the Challenge Cup, or do you go no? We want the honour of being in the Champions Cup, sort of thing, isn't it? But and we just got to accept that we just got to play out our skins, and like when the squad got stuck in South Africa, and we put that hodgepodge side against Harlequins. And to start with, we're like, Winnett scored, Cabango scored an absolute thriller. Jimmy, we just got to play like that. We just got to throw the ball about. And and Dan Fish, he says he's retiring again this year. We might bring him out of retirement one more time because we need.
I done a match on the weekend. Dan Fish.
I was going to say, he played in the final, didn't he?
They were lucky, Cardiff. They shouldn't have won that, but no, credit to them. It was a good weekend for Cardiff rugby.
So, talking about leavers lists, then, Jamie, Dragons published theirs last week. What did you make of who's leaving and who's not?
Well, it's no surprise. It's really, Moriarty was in there, Rowlands, we knew about that. There wasn't any names I thought, I'm surprised he's leaving. I think that, I talked about this on Twitter. I think the biggest disappointment for me out of all those names was Rob Evans, because I I'm really surprised and disappointed his career's taken a downward trajectory since the 2019 Grand Slam. I was a big fan of Rob Evans. So when we signed him, when we released, picked him up from the Scarlets, it felt like a bit of a coup. I thought this is a really good pickup. Welsh international, he's going to sort out our front row and he'd have a point to prove, just like Steph Hughes has done. Steph Hughes has proven a point with his old club. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. And I don't know why. I think he made 9 appearances, 2 starts. I don't know if his heart was in it, to be honest, but I'm just really disappointed because that was a move that really should have worked out. That should have been a good signing for us. And it was just a flop. This is such a shame. But yeah, looking at the names, there's no real surprises, is there? I'm afraid. So, no, good luck to them all. Good luck to them.
And have they announced any signatures? They announced the 7 on that one day, didn't they? Have they announced any since that?
Well, Dane Blacker was signed, and we talked about that, didn't we?
Oh yeah, Dane Blacker. Yeah,
Dane Blacker from the Scarlets. No one else yet.
No. Okay.
No, so we'll just have to see what they do. But they need to sign front 5 players. That is the priority, and especially in the front row. We'll talk about it later in Judgement Day. But our scrum, I mean, it is statistically the worst in the league, and I'm afraid when the replacements were made, you could see how weak it was again. It's just not good enough now. For the love of God, Dai Flan, if you're listening, sign some props who can fucking scrum. That's all I ask. Please.
I can see Dai Flanagan sitting at home listening to it now, going, "Oh, cheers for that, Jake. Let me write that one down because I didn't have that one."
If he wasn't aware, he's aware now. Sign some fucking scrummaging props, please.
This is the level of influence we have now. Like after one season, talking in sheds and
yeah. So, James, what did you make of the Ospreys? I mean, they haven't announced anything officially, but
no.
Dan Lidgett and Anscombe have both kind of said that that's their last game for the Ospreys now. So, what are you making of it?
I think people expected it, to be honest. I think we all expected Anscombe, especially to move on. I think people are forgetting that he did lose 2 years of his career to a very bad injury. And if I'm speaking selfishly as an Ospreys fan, we lost 2 of his best years. That probably could have propelled us a bit. I have no ill feeling towards him. I just think clearly Booth has found a 10 that he would want to build the game around in Owen Williams. And then I think Dan Edwards, who's down at Aberavon at the minute, has been at the under-20s as well. I think that's another one he can build around with Jack Walsh as well. Of course, you got Myler retiring, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about as well. Lidgett, I think a lot of people expected a contract extension for him. And I think I'm in the minority who didn't want to give him an extension. He for his age and sort of injury status, he's just too expensive. And I think these last 2 weeks have shown that he just does not have the pace anymore. He has the power, he has the tackle, and we all know what he can do. But up against Thomas Young and up against Jamie Ritchie and Hamish Watson the week before, he just looked slower. He looked like an old man. It's just his age. And I'd like to see him. The Dragons don't need him, but it'd be a nice swan song for him to go back for a season. He'd be great mentoring, the younger guys down there. I've heard he's done wonders with Harry Deeves down at the Ospreys, who is the next cab off the rank. Alongside Will Hickey's down there as well. So we all expected it. I didn't want him to get a contract extension. And then, the one that everyone's talking about is Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yeah.
We all probably saw the Instagram photo. Number 53, the 53rd player to play for the Ospreys, which is absolutely mental.
That's insane when you think of that.
It is. I think we're about player 270 now.
Yeah.
With Jack Welsh or Tom Cowan-Dickey and likes of that. But as Booth said in the press conference, he's still in contract. He's in contract till after the World Cup. He's on a special deal. So as soon as the World Cup ends, his contract with the Ospreys ends. He's not employed by the union. He's employed by us. So look, his Ospreys career is done. I don't think he'll play any rugby after the World Cup.
No,
I can't see him going to England or to France or to Japan. I think he's done.
It would be nice for him to come back up one game at home against Zebra.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
You say that though, but the Barbarians announced this week that they're going to be playing against Swansea RFC.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it has been rumoured for a while that Alwyn Jones will be part of that Barbarians team.
I really miss those fixtures, like going down the Arms Park watching Cardiff. Yeah.
So look, if that's his last game, it's a shame. And Toby Booth said it that was not the last game he deserved.
No, he wasn't.
And
really wasn't.
I don't think he played particularly badly, but he didn't play amazing either. But it was not the last game he deserved. And I'll come on to this in Judgment Day later. That shouldn't have been his final home game. I mean, that was a farce that it's an Ospreys home game to begin with. But yeah, it wasn't the send-off he deserved or any of the players that are leaving, you know.
Well, Scarlets announced 15 leavers. What I liked about the way the Scarlets did last week was they had, groups of players. They had back threes and then scrum halves and then forwards and front row and all that kind of stuff through the week. And they kind of announced, and then they said, we got more coming tomorrow. And then 3:00 Friday, they send out this is everyone that's leaving. So everybody kind of knew, do you know what I mean? It was wrapped up. And I don't think there was any surprises for us at Scarlets. We said at the start of the season on my Scarlets pods that it would probably be Halfpenny and Patchell's last year. And that was before all of the stuff around contracts and whatever came about. I was a bit surprised that Dav Hughes has been released. I thought Dav Hughes has been he played well on Saturday. And with Ken Owens, kind of, I'm expecting Ken Owens last year to be next season. Or he's one nasty injury away from the end of his career. Ryan Elias is, he's out injured at the minute. It just takes one nasty knock in an injury and that's your career over nowadays. So to get rid of a player like Dav Hughes for me was a bit of a shock. And that was more of a shock than Halfpenny and Patchell going. I say I was expecting Patchell to go to Cardiff. I'm expecting Halfpenny to be a kicking coach of some sort somewhere, because he's quite a fierce kind of bloke when it comes to that kind of disciplined, So
well, he's already with the under-20s, isn't he? Kicking.
Yeah, I think he's
attack coach down there. He was a consultant at least.
Yeah, he came in because he was injured and he wasn't doing anything. He went and he did kicking coach, and then he was Wales women kicking coach as well. I think they said that.
So it was Stephen Myler, that was.
Was it?
Yeah.
So he's got a little bit of background to him in that side. So yeah, 15 is a lot of players to be getting rid of, and there are issues at the Scarlets the same as there are everywhere else. It's a very, very thin squad next year, and we started this season with 22 players in the physio room. In the second game of the season after the Ospreys, we had 22 players on the injury list. We have 22 players on the injury list this year. We haven't got a team. That's it. We're done. We're finished.
This is the concern, isn't it, with the reduced squads and the budgets? We're all in the same boat. And if we pick up injuries, and remember I said to you on a previous pod, can you imagine one of our teams having like 15, 20 injuries, Wales call-ups, and you have to go to South Africa to face the bloody Bulls or the Stormers? We're fucked. What are you going to do? Bring in academy kids?
Players from the regional sides or the academy, or
it's going to be lambs to the slaughter.
This is what Ospreys have done all season, though.
Well, they've been working on, like, if you listen to Carwin, 14 players. 14 players out, and even on Saturday at Judgment Day. Well, we've got 14 Welsh players there. I go, what's your point?
No, look, I got no sympathy because that's the price you pay for being Wales's, at the time, best team. That's just the price you pay for it. That's why sometimes it's better not to have so many players involved with Wales, to keep your squad depth, because you lose too many on top of injuries. It leaves you in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, talking of vulnerable positions, you saw this earlier, James, the report from, what's his name? What's that guy?
Alex Bywater.
That's the boy, yeah. So tell us what's in that report, and cheer us up.
Well, he's reporting that Wales's 4 cash-strapped regions are desperate for central funding from the WRU to drop imminently because they currently cannot afford to pay debts. So this new deal that they've agreed, they basically need the money now because they got issues with suppliers and cash flow problems. It's not the fact that it's late. Alex Bywater did stress that on Twitter. They're not paying them late, but they kind of need the money now. And there's talk about players having been paid for image rights as well, so they owed money for that. And he's just reporting, he's not giving any names, but he says many senior internationals are moving away from Wales due to new rules, so there could be more sort of departures. But yeah, it's just another WRU shit show, isn't it?
It feels like we got to the end of Friday and we'd like thrown all the shit out of the PR room. We've gone, here you go, here's all the shit, that's all gone. And then somebody's turned over a leaf this morning and go, oh no, it's something else we forgot to fucking throw out on Friday. It's just another it's just another load of shit to get through, isn't it? Like you said earlier, it's like it doesn't affect you anymore. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, I feel completely desensitized to it. Yeah, I'm just waiting, and that's, I guess, like I've said in earlier pods, like I'm just sort of like fist clenched, like waiting for the dust to settle to see what the squads look like next year. To see, I'm gonna get a season ticket again, but
you sound really happy about that.
Yeah, I get excited.
I'm gonna get a season ticket. Oh, damn it!
I've come this far.
I'm just reading this part by here. He says that the new PRA is now operational, so the regions had hoped they would have received funding from it by now, although that has not happened. But he does say that they are still receiving central funds from the previous agreement. So basically, they want the funds from the new agreement now because of cash flow issues and stuff, but it's not arrived yet. So, just want to keep an eye on there, isn't it?
Yeah. At some point, somebody's going to release some good news. All right, Scarlets released Young Lloyd. That Young Lloyd coming on. That's about the only decent piece of good news.
The Ospreys social media team with their excellent videos this week, I think, have been the highlight.
Oh, I enjoyed that Stone Cold Steve Austin one for Kevin Williams. I really like that. Yeah, love that. Really, really good.
I like the shithousery of the Ospreys Judgement Day and out. Obviously, it's an Ospreys home game, so the music was going and the Ospreys and and now Cardiff. It's just like...
He's great. He's honestly he does it for a lot of the teams.
I thought it was brilliant because they said we had Cardiff supporters next to us and they go, yeah, come on. And they're, oh no, your boys are already on the pitch. He's already announced them. They're over there. Like,
I think it was the Dragons came down last season when we put 50 on them and he went, oh, Dragons fans, give us a cheer. And they were all sat in front of sort of my season ticket allocation. And I think he went on the Tannoy and said, all right, all 2 of you, thank you.
I was there.
You were number 1.
There was at least 20 of us there, actually.
Were they all in the bar?
It's a miserable place to go. Every time I've gone to the Liberty Stadium, we've lost and it's been raining.
And you've had to go with Carwyn.
And I've had to go with Carwyn. Love you really, Carwyn.
Always bloody cold down there. Even at Parker Scarlets as well, down west, is always cold.
Parker Scarlets is cold. It's the coldest stadium I've ever been to.
No, Ystrad Manor is about 3 degrees below at 3 degrees below zero most of the time. I went to Ystrad in the summer last year, and honest to God, I had 2 layers on, and I took my coat and I put my coat on at half time because I was absolutely naffing freezing. It's I've never known a ground like it. But
yeah, it can be cold.
Yeah. Okay, let's ditch the men's game for a second and talk about the women's game on Sunday. Wales, France. Anybody watch? Anybody got any opinions?
I watched it. I watched it live. It was really good. But the first half, I mean, God, it was a really difficult watch, that first half.
It was like a training game, wasn't
it? France are a very, very good team. I mean, I haven't been following women's rugby that long, right? I've only been recently, I would say the past 2-3 years, sort of knowing more about it, understanding, getting into it a bit more. But my goodness, the stadiums out there, like it was a full stadium. Like women's rugby in France is massive, isn't it? And I didn't realise that. It was packed to the rafters, really intimidating, and Wales got off to the worst possible start. I mean, France just absolutely battered them. They couldn't control. I mean, they scored a try in the first minute, and you're like, oh God. And then half 10 came and it was 29-0. And you're thinking, this could be worse than the England game. You know, this could be a 60, 70 pointer. And Wales they were nervy. They were making mistakes. France were all over them. And you're thinking, fuck me, Johan Cunningham needs to say something half time because this is going to be an absolute battery. Then second half happened and then they did score the first try. And then it was 34-0. And you're like, you know, this is just damage limitation now, like, you know. And I tell you what, fair play, though, hell of a response from Wales women. They did so well to come back into that, I thought. The weather changed. Oh, they did. But they were more, in the second half, they were more physical. They were more direct. The replacements made a big impact. Tupelotu was great when she came off, you know, and it was just, it was a really good, spirited second half performance because that could have gone seriously ugly. And I actually think there's a lot of positives to take from that, you know, probably more than the England game. And, you know, let's not forget, Wales did make 7 changes. You know, and I was always going to test this squad depth, and going out to France is never easy. But it's clear, isn't it, in this Women's Six Nations, to me watching it, England and France, there is a gap. It's those two, and then there's the rest. Then there's sort of us, Scotland, Ireland, Italy. But no, I think there's a lot of positives to take from that game. It was a very, very difficult first 50 minutes for Wales, but I'm really pleased with the way we fought back and battled hard and scored a couple of good tries. And some positives to take into the Italy game. But we only need 1 point from now, I think. I think it's 1 match point to guarantee a top 3 finish. And if that's the case, if Wales finish in the top 3, that's a very, very good Six Nations campaign. So it's all to play for this weekend.
I remember watching them a couple of seasons ago against France, funnily enough, sort of thing, and it was the most painful hour and a half to watch. Like, do you mean? And this was before any sort of professional contracts had come through. I think it was a couple of seasons later they had the 13, was it, to start with? 13 professional contracts, which then became the 31 or 32. But it was before that, and it was so painful to watch.
I'm not going to lie. I was close to turning off. I was very, very close because Newbridge were on S4C. Yeah, after that first half, I thought, I don't know if it really was a tough watch. And I thought, I'm not sure if I could watch this because it's just not nice as they're seeing, you know, the team you support just get absolutely blown away. But I thought, no, I'll give the second half a crack, see where we go. And when they scored like early on, you're thinking, I thought, no, I'll give it another few minutes. I'm glad they did because last half hour was really, really good from Wales. Really pleasing.
Well, that try that France scored just after half time, if that had been in the men's game, that would be everywhere now. That would be all over social media and all sorts.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was from behind their own, they were on their own line. And out it comes, it goes left, it goes right, there's individual bits, there's pass. You know what? Just as a quality try, no matter who scores it and who it's against, I think that's one of the best tries I've seen on a rugby pitch for a long time. Do you know what I mean? It just had absolutely everything. And I think the whole try from end to end was about 1 minute, 15 seconds, something like that. And I was getting ready to take the dogs for a walk. So I'd watched the first half, same as you, Jim, and I'd gone like, right, okay, we'll see how this goes. and I had the dogs ready to go, and I'm standing in front of the screen with both the dogs' leads, watching the screen, and the dogs are going, "Come on, we want to go for a walk. We want to go for a walk," and just watching it, it was really, really good to watch. So, I'm the same as you, just starting to kind of really catch on to women's rugby, and I've kind of watched it in bits and pieces in the past, and when you actually sit and watch it, it's a really, really good watch. It is
yeah,
fantastic game to watch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a top end women's guest next week to review the women's Six Nations as well, which will be quite nice. That'll be interesting. Yes, from a fresh one from Carwyn's contact book. Which that could go either way. Let's be honest.
He chased her around the City Arms.
Yeah.
Some woman on the train, he asked, "Do you listen to the podcast? Do you want to be on it?"
He's a rugby player.
Yeah. So we'll have a quick catch up on the our fantasy league, because Joe Saracens is just a bloody stretch ahead of everyone. Between us, so Jamie, you're in 8th, and then I've dropped a place. I've gone down to 11th. I thought I was having a really good weekend. I actually spent a lot of time going through and trying to work out what my best formation was going to be, and I drop a fucking place. Carwyn is in 15th. Hang on, where are you, Reese? Hang on. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. I was scrolling, that wasn't it?
So 1 week left on women's Six Nations, and we'll do a proper review of it next week. But I actually think they've done really well so far this season, considering the way everything else has gone, and the way rugby in general in Wales is at the minute. It would be very easy for them to just kind of shy away from stuff, and they haven't. They've gone out and really tried to give it some oomph. So, yeah.
I think there's a lot of it. To coin a phrase from an infamous Welsh rugby Twitter user, affinity around this Welsh women's team. I think
to do with it.
I just think everyone has rallied around them. And I think, I'm a bit like you, Lee. I've not watched a lot of women's rugby. It's funny enough, I used to coach it, but I probably, just because there's too much rugby on sometimes, but I have, I was hungover with a very hungover Wrexham fan in Cardiff on Sunday, so we didn't talk about much rugby, I can tell you that. But yeah, I just think everyone gets around them. They got such likable characters in there, in that squad. So, despite the results, I think people are just getting behind them.
And I'll tell you the effect it's had. So, for anybody that wants to sit and listen to me talk about coaching the girls team, so I coached the girls team a couple of years ago not for my local team, and I literally lived the other side of the fence to the rugby pitch. And I'd said to the club that I was coaching a boys team for, I said, we need to have a girls team. I had a couple of girls in my team. They were getting to the age where they had to finish, and there was nowhere for them to go. And I said, I want to have a girls team. I'll coach a girls team and all this kind of stuff. And I was asked to leave the club. Yeah, I was asked to leave the club because I was too forthright in my opinions about that and other things. But I was asked to leave the club. This week, so like I say, I can see from our back bedroom windows, I can see out onto the pitch. This week, they had a girls' team training on the back pitch. And it was the first session. Yeah, it was. They'd never been out there before. You could see that. There were some girls there that weren't in kit, were literally in jeans and all of that kind of stuff. But there was, 12, 13 of them out on the pitch. And they've never had a junior girls team there before. So if anyone doubts that the effect that women's team is having, that's where it is. That's, local club, small club, never had a women's team before. Well, they've got a women's team, never had a girls team before. And now the girls team is here, and that will grow and grow and grow. So it's definitely having the right effect on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's brilliant.
Right, let's get back to misery again then. So Judgment Day. Let's talk Judgment Day. It's a spectacle.
Let's go.
So let's do. So yeah, what did you make before we talk about the games? What did you actually make of the event of the day? Yeah, that says everything, guys.
Yeah. Well, as you all know, I had to go before the match started and watched it in a rugby club. But I like arriving in town and stuff like that. I quite liked the scene that was. There was thousands of all the jerseys, Well, before I saw a Cardiff jersey, I must have seen about 100 Dragons jerseys. So they must have just got off the same coach, yeah, it just and when we were stood outside the City Arms, it was just like a nice buzz before going in. So obviously I didn't go in, but you can take up the story from there. But I quite liked it in town and doing the video, which I believe, boys, is still up if anybody wants to watch it.
Yeah, it is there on our Facebook page. The figures that were coming through on the day don't necessarily match what was happening. There were quite a few people watching it, according to the analytics figures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Carwyn was over the moon meeting Simon Wesson.
Yes, that was a big honour for him. Yeah, he's a lovely fella though, wasn't he? Really funny guy, isn't he?
And he knew his rugby. He
knew his rugby.
Yeah, he said he was a Scarlets fan, so I'm not sure about that. But he's a really nice guy. But I was interviewed him as well. I was fine into it.
You were like, yeah.
I felt like Lauren Jenkins from the BBC. That's how I felt like. I was on Scrum 5. Fucking Fox popping everyone, it's really good fun. Yeah, they were. I was interviewing Simon Weston. I thought, Jesus, can this day get any more surreal? It was mad. I had a good time. That couple from Liverpool, wasn't it? Remember them? That couple.
Yeah.
There was a couple. What was it? Their honeymoon or something? Well, then they just got married.
It was like a stag hen, I think.
Was it? Yeah.
So big shout out to them. I can't remember their names.
I can't remember their names. I don't remember that.
But it was like you said, the atmosphere outside the ground was probably better than the atmosphere inside the ground.
Town was bouncing.
Yeah.
We walked from Roath or around that area from my mate's flat into town, and we stopped in Head of Steam because the Ospreys had booked out the first floor, like the supporters club. So we went up there for a beer, and it was bouncing. The Ospreys travelled well, and then I said, "Oh, let's walk over," because we were going in the gate 3 anyway. So let's go down City Arms, and sort of that approach there, and it was you couldn't move. Scarlets had bought all 3 fans.
Yeah.
But I say that seriously, not just because I've got an irrational hatred for them. Is they didn't? I didn't think the Scarlets travelled that well in terms of support. I saw loads of Dragons, loads of Cardiff, a decent smattering of Ospreys, but I just didn't see that many. Even coming up on the train from Swansea, I didn't see that many Scarlets fans. I don't know whether that was because they were all saving it for the semi-final, or whether they just couldn't be asked. But town was bouncing though.
It was bouncing. Yeah.
Well, we had quite a few Scarlets fans around us, and bizarrely, a couple of Munster fans. And so Carwyn's got a bit of. He's been out to Ireland a couple of times. So every time these Munster fans stood up to go for a leak, he'd start singing Munster songs. And
that's annoying.
It's just like everybody else. You've got like maybe 100 or so people around you, and he's like about 5 rows down and like 10 seats across, and they get up and go out at half time or whatever. And then Carwyn just gets up and starts singing to them and dancing and all of this kind of stuff. I go like, "What the fuck are you drinking, man?" But and we had a.
He fucking loves it, man. He fucking loves it, doesn't he?
Oh, he does.
It's
He
wicked.
does. But we had a guy in front of us dressed in full Spanish matador outfit with an inflatable doll.
Must have been the Scarlets fan, was he?
He was. He was. Well,
what a surprise!
He was
dressed as Josh McLeod, Spanish legend.
Yeah, he was. Fair play. It was good fun. It was. They did make the day, and the best bit for us was a lot of the Cardiff coaches. We were sat kind of just behind and to the left of the analysis box, where the radio and TV people go, and the Cardiff boys were sat at the end of that box. So at after half time, they come back to there, and there's a little kid at the front with his book and all. Like, can you sign my ball for me, mister? And can we have a selfie? So there's like 4 of them in a line. So the first one goes down, selfie, signs his ball, great. And this kid looks at the next 3 and goes, fuck you, and goes and sits down. And this Cardiff coaching team, like the next one was ready to sign the ball, and this kid's like, you can fuck off, I'm going to sit back down, pal. And so it was stuff like that.
That's soul destroying, isn't it?
Yeah, and it can't even get
the thing about Judgment Day, though, it does divide a lot of people, doesn't it? Because you get a lot of season ticket holders who absolutely hate it, because they want their game at home in their own stadium. And I get that. I get the reasons why, they don't want to go because they just see it like a Wales game as a piss up. People not interested and all the rest of it. I don't actually mind it. I don't mind Judgment Day, but what I would say is that it needs to be at a different stage of the season. So you either have it at the beginning of the season or like sort of in the first block, because what you need is 2 games that actually mean something. And as much as I enjoyed the result in the game, we need a situation where both games have jeopardy. And we didn't get that this weekend. I think it's played far too late in the season. It needs to be brought forward. But I don't mind Judgment Day. It's always a good day out. Like I said, I've been a few times now. I've enjoyed it. There were people moaning about the atmosphere. I thought it was okay. The first game was fine. It did tail off in that second game. And what always happens every time I go Judgment Day is I'll sit in a full block, and then the next game comes, everyone just fucks off. Like,
that's the issue, isn't it?
I went for a piss and to get a beer. I came back, sat with Dad. The second game started. I had like 10 empty seats.
Yeah.
Next to me. I thought, well, where's everyone gone? But this is what happens. Not everyone stays for the 2 games. And I've always stayed for the 2 games. I think, well, you might as well. Yeah. You're out for the day. And people moaning then about prices of the food and drink. Now, I won't lie. Me and Dad were hungry. We didn't have time to get food before the games. We bought a pasty, and it was £7.50 each. Which was very, very expensive.
We had that exact same discussion.
Yeah. So, but what I will say is that it was a bloody lovely pasty. It was a really.
Question.
I hope so.
No, it was. It really was. But was it worth
$7.50?
And the other issue we had is, so if you wanted lager, that was fine. But if you wanted cider or beer, it was in cans. So we went to the nearest food and drink store to us, and I wanted a beer. So he gives me the can. He's like, you need to pour it now because you can't take the can with you. I was like, all right, okay. So you got all these people opening cans, pouring them, and it's just causing really long queues. Because I was waiting in the queue for half. I was thinking, why is it taking so long? It's people at the bar having to pour their own bloody drinks into cups. It's like, oh, come on. Let's just get it on pump. There's got to be an easier way to do it. But it's an odd one, Judgment Day. Some people really like it, or some people really dislike it. I'm sort of in between. I don't mind. I mean, I had a good day out. I met up with people, and we saw James, we saw Harley Worthy, and we met my mate. And it's a good day out for me. But I understand. I can see both sides of it.
I think like what you touched upon there, like about the people leaving for the second game, and it's not full anyway. So that makes it quite difficult to generate that atmosphere, doesn't it? So it has to be tweaked, doesn't it? But it could be a wicked product, isn't it? And I was sorry to leave town, but it has to be tweaked, doesn't it?
Just one point I want to add as well. So we didn't see anything about what the crowd and ticket sales were going to be before this event, which I thought was really strange. Because if you've been on Twitter for a long time, you'll see journalists and various other people give you updates. Like Simon Thomas always used to say, oh, there's 20,000 so far, sold so far, 35. We had nothing. Nobody knew how many tickets had been sold or what the attendance was. So the official attendance was 41,139, which was more than I thought, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting that figure, but it is the lowest crowd since 2014. And I just wonder, is that because of the Welsh rugby landscape at the moment as well, and the marketing could have been a bit better?
That's what I said. I think that the atmosphere inside Judgement Day reflected the views around Welsh rugby right now. You know, whether you agree with regional rugby or not is beside the point. People are fed up of mediocrity, which, you know, and just downright, you know, shambles sometimes. It reflects in the national team as well. You know, we're at our lowest ebb since, you know, I'm only in my mid-20s, but this is the lowest I've ever seen Welsh rugby. And, you know, you guys will say, you know, the 90s is worse.
The 90s, yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we are, though. You know, I'm very fortunate that in my lifetime I've only ever known success as a Welsh rugby fan. And, you know, as an Ospreys fan, you all take the piss at the Galacticos and things like that, but that was still a successful period of 4 titles for a Welsh team. You know, Cardiff winning the stupid cup or whatever it's called.
Twice.
The fake one.
Oh, give it the respect it deserves. It's the Mickey Mouse Cup, okay?
Yeah, that's the one. The Mickey
Well, you
Mouse.
speak to me when you've won it.
the WH Smith Shield.
Who was the last team to win a championship trophy? Who was the last one to actually win the league? Was that the Ospreys?
Can't remember.
No,
that season. Yeah, but you know, we've all known, apart from the Dragons, we've known some success. You know.
Yeah.
And that is reflected in Welsh rugby. And my main takeaway, and you know, I said this to Lee before we start recording, is the fact that I, you know, as a season ticket holder, and I'm a carer season ticket holder, so my grandfather, who I go to all the games with, is in a scooter, you know, had to give up a home game for this. You know, we'd already whooped Cardiff in the Arms Park in January.
Whoops, let's hang on.
so they decided that they, you know, decided to give us a home game in the big stadium. I think you know, for me, and being sort of tapped into the more casual Ospreys fan base, you call it, on Facebook and Twitter, it is a bit of a farce, and it's turned people off hugely to getting a season ticket again, to wanting to come to games, because, you know, what's the point? You know, we've lost it. We've lost a game on an already, you know, quite decently expensive season ticket.
I'm going to take issue with something you said there about Dragons' success. The Dragons have won a trophy. They won the Singer Premiership Sevens title. Listen, the problem is it was in a completely different sport. It wasn't rugby, it was in rugby sevens. So they have had success, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that, can you? Like,
No,
He did.
You can try. Go on, try and argue with Jamie on that one. Go on. No, I think, like we pretty much all said, it's got the bare bones of a very good day out, of it should be a full stadium. It should be something akin to the Super Bowl, where, you know, you got the halftime show, you've got stuff in the streets outside. Do you know what I mean? There should be bands playing outside. There should be merchandise. Fucking I couldn't find a Scarlets shirt. I couldn't find a Scarlets shirt to buy.
There's a reason for that, Lee.
But do you know what I mean? It should be, if I was bringing my kids to that game. Unfortunately, the very first game I brought my kids to was fucking Wales versus Fiji on a Friday night, where we drew 16-all.
I remember that.
Both of my
David
kids,
drop goal.
Yeah, both of my kids were asleep by halftime. That's how shit that game was. But you want that first experience of a big rugby game for your kids to be something special, don't you? You want the like, I've still got my hat and scarf from Wales and Japan in 1983, which was the first game my dad took me to. You know, the stadium wasn't even fully built then. The old stadium was still being built. So you want to make it something special. You want to make a memory. I just wasn't I don't know.
You talk about that, about first memories. I told you this before, but I took my daughter to a Wales rugby match for the first time last year against Wales, Georgia. We fucking lost to Georgia. Of all the games. And she was so upset afterwards, you know. She said, we
yeah, but
lost.
that
Why
was
did we lose? I'm like,
that was due to you going, that's your fault, you're not coming again. no more of that.
You know the game last season where Cardiff beat Leinster. I took my daughter. She's gone off rugby now, but she's into coming down to Cardiff with me at the time, and she's got type 1 diabetes. And like we're in the clubhouse half time, so I get her to check her levels, isn't it, and what have you. And they're about to start the second half, and obviously we're doing really well against the big boys. And I said, and she had to correct her level, sort of thing, with an injection. And so it's like, but she just kept looking at the screen with the players coming back on, and she just like grabbed a needle, just jammed it into her leg, and went, "Come on, let's go!" Like that, like it was a moment of absolute pride.
That's my guilt.
Yeah.
I've only ever been to one international game, and that was Wales
Really?
v Scotland. Just I've never been interested in sort of going to internationals. I've always been a club over international guy. But I went to Wales, Scotland in 2014. And it was the one where Stuart Hogg took Dan Bigger out in the air, and it was upgraded to a red afterwards. And I thought, 50 points. This is great. You know, Wales will let this every week. And then no, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, you get used to that disappointment.
I only remember that days because I sat next to Colin Jarvis. We were up in the gods, surprising. We were up in the and I sort of looked next to him. This massive bloke, Colin Jarvis. I said to him, I said, "How haven't you got like corporate tickets?" He was like, "Yeah, they just didn't give me one, so I bought one and sort of sat." He was sat up with us, but he was a very nice bloke.
Well, talking to very nice people, Carwyn was drinking lager. So Carwyn's main grump of the game was, we were on level 6, and the bar on level 6 didn't have any lager. So to get lager, he had to go down the stairs to first floor or whatever and get lager in. So Carwyn wouldn't walk down the stairs because he's a lazy fucker. And he demanded to go down in the lift. The fucking disabled lift. So he demanded, and he did 3 or 4 times. He went up and down in the lift. And then halfway through, at halftime in the Ospreys game, off he goes, and I'm like, "Do you want to drink?" No, I'm fine. You just go do what you need to do. And I was apologising to all the people around me for Carwyn being a knob. So then we kick off for the second half, and nothing, and he's not back, and there's 5 minutes, and the people are going, "Is your mate okay? Is he all right?" I go, "Well, yeah, I think so." And the Ospreys scored a try, and then he's going to be a bit pissed off now because he's missed 15 minutes into the second half. I'd been to the bog and come back. And had a quick look around the stadium and stuff where he's not there. 20 minutes into the second half, Carwyn pops his head up and says, "Hey!" I guess I'm like, "Oh, fuck no. What's he done? Where's he been?" He comes up and he goes, "I've had a look at a couple of hospitality boxes." I go, "What?
How the hell did he get in there, man?"
Because he's Carwyn, mate. He was walking along behind the hospitality boxes. Somebody had opened the door, and Carwyn went, "Can I come in?" And this bloke went, "Yeah, go on."
Oh, bloody hell, if it's that easy, I'm going to do that next time then. Just walk up, "Can I come in?" Yeah.
But get this. So he walks in, and there's a load of Ospreys players in there. So he's having fucking selfies, with Joe Hawkins and all of this. And he's like,
balls on that boy. The balls on that boy, man.
I was absolutely, he was coming back, and I go, "Well, where the hell have you been, like, you know?" And he's going, and he's showing me all these photos. And I'm like, I just can't believe that is, you go to the toilet and you come back but that's what you've been like, So, yeah, that kind of topped off my Judgement Day. But there we go.
Although that was an awesome story, this is like the rugby version of filibustering, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're trying your best not to talk about the
actual
rugby
game.
on Saturday.
Let's let Jamie talk about. I'll do the Scarlets bit first, and then Jamie can do Dragons. We were shit. We weren't up for it. We weren't there. We just weren't on the game from the first kickoff. I just I put on our group, didn't I? Before that first try, I went, we're fucked. I was the only one last week that predicted a Dragons win. I fucking said this was coming for the last 4 weeks, and fuck me, I was right. And my lucky berry is never coming out ever.
Very lucky.
It's
you need to wear that down Park of Scarlets this weekend. Wear it down Park of Scarlets. Lucky berry.
No.
You lost to the Dragons, who hadn't won since fucking October in the league, by the way. That's how lucky your berry is.
Any Welsh language listeners, he looked like Wally from Come On Midfield, if anybody remembers that programme.
I like it. I like my berry. Fuck off a lot of you. I think it's French. That's the problem. It's French. It's a genuine French berry made in France, bought in France. It only works in France.
It's not lucky though, is it? Because you lost to the Dragons, so it can't be that lucky.
Right, I'm gonna sit back and just let you. I'm gonna mute you now for the next 20 minutes. You crack on, son. Fill your boots.
Well, when was the last time we was able to talk about Dragons win? Well, a league win, anyway. I mean, Dragons last won in January. That was against Poe. But I haven't been able to talk about Dragons win in the URC since October, which was against Zebra, which is a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, I like doing this pod with you guys, but when you have to keep talking about defeats week in, week out, I'm telling you, it gets fucking tiring. It really does. Take it from me.
Yeah.
Really, really does. So I am glad to be able to talk about Dragons win. Oh, I mean, look, I wasn't.
You know what to say now, does he?
No,
I'm lost for words. I mean, I wasn't expecting it. Of course, I wasn't expecting it, especially the manner of the scoreline. Looking at the two teams, it seemed obvious to me the Scarlets were going to win. They're in better form. Dragons couldn't buy a win. But the first 20 minutes of that game, fucking hell, it was like watching Leinster. We were superb. Not the Leinster of this weekend, by the way, the one that got thumped by the Bulls. So talk about that Leinster, talk about the normal killing machine Leinster. I mean, he was terrific. Although we have got to thank Fia Fivita for that. Because it's that moment to moment. When he done that, he goes to the bin, we score 21 points. 21 points scored with him. And, when we saw it on the big screen, it was like, oh, fuck, he's got to go. He's punched him. And, there's a few Dragons fans screaming for a red card. But I've watched it back at home. It wasn't actually a punch or so. There was sort of like an open palm.
He palmed him in the face, didn't he?
Yeah. So I actually think yellow card was the right call.
It was.
I did, like, on another day, it could have been red. But I do actually think, and when I watched it back, I thought, yeah, fair enough. It probably is a yellow. But my goodness, Dragons punish him for it because we really did fill our boots when he was off. It was a massive moment in the game. I absolutely loved Jordan Williams' try. Rio Dyer making Combia look so silly. I mean, he turned him up like an absolute kip in that step. I can't stop watching it. And it's particularly pleasing when you got Scarlets fans practicing about Ryan Combia shouldn't be the squad. No, Dyer made you look like a twat. And that's why you're not on the Wales squad, because he's got the pace, he's got the skills, and it was just beautiful. I absolutely loved that try.
There's only a few Welsh players or Welsh wingers who can take someone on the outside like that. There's Dyer's one of them. I think, was it Combia did it to Matt Prothero last year down at the Liberty?
Yeah.
When he's going forward, he could do that. Giles can do it. I think Prothero, when he's not injured, can do it. Cabango is the other one, but there's very few who can make someone look silly like that. And that try, we were up in the gods, and I said, he's in touch here. Combia's got him. And he puts that step in, and
it's beautiful.
But
I do like Combia, mind. I do like Combia.
Yeah.
I think this was a really good head-to-head, and Rio did really do him up like a kipper.
But when you look at that try, when you take it back from the start of that try, you had like a 3-1 overlap on Combi around the outside. And you look at that and you go, how the fuck did they develop? Because it wasn't like in a lot of broken play. It was only second or third phase. Do you know what I mean? How did they develop an overlap that quick on that big? And you just think, that's why Combi got caught like that, because he was coming inside, the ball went outside, then he had to go outside, then he gets turned inside and outside. To me, you look at all the work we've done in defence since when we were shit at the start of the season, and you go, how did it fall apart so quickly in that game? Do you know what I mean? You boys running 3-man, 4-man overlaps consistently, and I'm just sitting there going like, how is that happening? How have we gone from a stage where we were just, we were pumping people back on the attack line, we were, our scrum was functioning, our line-out was functioning, we were turning people over in rucks, and now Dragons are running 3-1 overlaps around the outside of us. Anyway,
it was
carry
really,
on.
The 3rd minute, the 6th minute, and the 15th minute the tries came in. So it was just absolutely murder for that purple patch,
Cheers for that, Reese.
The first half, though, it was just like, I was in half time. I said to my dad, I said, are we going to fuck this up? Are we going to fuck this up? And he's like, I don't know. Because even then at half time, I was a little bit, But then the second half came. And then, to be fair to the Scarlets, they were better in the second half. They looked a lot more dangerous. They were attacking a lot more. And when they started putting pressure on the Dragons, we were giving away penalties. But I was really pleased with our defence. I thought our defence was really, really good. I was disappointed about Ardy's try because I felt that should have been stopped. We shouldn't have let him go over the line. I mean, Tubelotti was a big guy. In fairness, he's going to power over. So that's just one of those ones you go, okay, fair enough. But I felt Ardy's try could have and should have been stopped. But it was a very dogged performance in the second half. But it's no coincidence that as soon as we made front row replacements, our scrum went to shit. As soon as Rob Evans and Chris Coleman came on, me and Dad just looked at each other and went, here we go. And it did. The scrum started to creak. And it's the same old story every season. I'm really bored how bad our scrum is. It's embarrassing bad that we can't scrum. Like I said, we have got the worst scrum in the league statistically. And it's just, if we're going to progress and move forward, that's something that Dai Young really does need to address. We've got to start signing some props who want to play for the Dragons and are going to commit and just be able to scrum, because we can't keep having this problem every time. It's really, really poor. But it was a good game. I enjoyed it. Right at the end, Steph Hughes scoring, wrapping up a bonus point win. I mean, that was nice. There was Steph Hughes, because he's been a brilliant signing for us. And to do it against his old club as well. And I think the longer the game went on, like when Tubelotti went over, it was like a 10-point gap then, was there like a 10-point deficit? And I thought, if they'd scored again, Scarlets, mind, I would have been squeaky bum time,
Yeah, Steph Evans broke through, and if he'd slipped that ball inside instead of trying to go round the player, I think it was Johnny McNichol would have been over, and we'd have been back to a 3-point game, and it would have been very, very different. But it didn't. It got turned over. It got cleared, pumped up the pitch, and Dragons try. The best bit for me was after the game, the first thing your dad said to me when we were in Tiny Rebel is he went, "We didn't shit the bed."
I know. That's what we do. That's what the Dragons.
Your dad was brilliant.
Yeah, fair play.
There's a couple of Dragons boys in there who I think have put a hand up to Gatland after that last game. I thought Elliot D was fantastic for the 50 minutes he was on. He carried well. His throw-in and the line-out, his decision-making, I thought was brilliant. He sort of showed why he was Wales' number 2 for a long time. Basham, again, I thought was excellent.
Yeah.
I don't see why he doesn't play 8. I know he's great with the ball. And
Basham, he's a bit small, though.
Do you reckon?
Before. Yeah, he's too small.
About Navidi. Navidi was like a little number.
No, Basham is. I don't like the legs. He's too small. But the thing with Basham, he's a very talented back rower, but his breakdown work needs to improve. And to be fair, on Saturday night, he did win a couple of really key turnovers. And I think that's why he was named man of the match. Now, as good as he was, I would have given it to Wainwright. I thought Wainwright was
Wainwright was brilliant. I don't think he's back to 2019. Wainwright.
No, he's not yet. But
he's but I sort of on the flip side, I thought Scarlets' back row was pathetic for most of that game. I thought they were ineffective. I'm a big lover of university rugby and the Bucks sort of Super Rugby. Being down at Swansea, I watched it every Wednesday. So I watched Ewan Shenton, a lot for Met, and the work he did at Met. He just doesn't. He doesn't get around the park as much as I'd like him to. I think there's the fundamentals are there, and he's been brilliant in the Welsh Premiership. I just think, would he do better with a Callum Mahoney type 8? I would say a bit more dynamic. I thought Tuipulotu was quiet up until his try, didn't carry as much as I'd like him to. And then McLeod, I just don't think he could do much. I thought Dragons were really, really good at the breakdown. They were more physical. They wanted it more, the hits that were going in. Wainwright in defence, I thought was brilliant. Yeah. Tompkinson seemed to have one of his better games. Would you say, James, for the Dragons?
Yeah, so he started the season really well, Tompkinson, and then he had a really, really bad game against Poe in the Challenge Cup. And then he got dropped, and then he picked up an injury, and we just haven't seen him, of course. Then he tried to take off Jack Walsh's head, didn't he, against the Ospreys in Swansea. And he's a bit like that, Thomas. He's a little bit of a liability. He can pick up a few cards, but he was very good, I thought.
Yeah, I thought
he was very
good.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative coming out of the Scarlets is, they got one eye on the European semi-final. And to be fair, that's perfectly understandable. But that shouldn't take away from how good the Dragons were.
No.
Because, someone did say to me on the weekend, that was Dragons' cup final. And I was like, I wouldn't go that far, but we really wanted to win this game. We needed to win this game. We needed to end what's been a really tough season on a high. And we did 1-0. And I thought we absolutely deserved it. Yeah, you can talk about, Scarlets taking their eye off the ball, looking forward to next week. But I can tell you now, that is not the performance Scarlets wanted going into a big semi-final. Dwayne Peel was really unhappy afterwards. I saw his interview he gave. He was fuming. And there's no excuse for Scarlets switching off like that. Like I said, I understand that, in the back of your minds, yes, you are playing Glasgow. It's all to play for and you've got bigger fish to fry. But you can't be going into a big European semi-final with a performance like that, because now Scarlets are going in with their tails between their legs, licking their wounds. And you've got Glasgow, who are shit hard at the moment. They're coming into this game now with form and momentum. So that's not the performance Dwayne Peel would have wanted for Saturday. So it won't have any bit to go on the semi-final, but like I said, that's not the performance and result the Scarlets would have hoped for,
And for me, we played some really exciting rugby through the year. We played some shit rugby at the start, and then we came into a little bit of a purple patch, and everything that we were doing was just working well. And you need to keep that momentum going. You need to play that kind of rugby consistently week on week. And we scored tries, but we scored tries, driving close into rucks. You look at Hardy, that was off the back of a ruck or the back of a scrum, and Tuipulotu back of a scrum. We never looked like creating a 3-man, 4-man overlaps like Dragons were. We never looked dangerous in attack. And Dwayne Peel is right to be pissed off, because we've been playing some really, really good stuff, and it's like the last couple of weeks we've almost taken the foot off the gas. We've rested a couple of players, we've had a couple of players out with injury and what have you, and it just hasn't quite clicked. I think Lousy is really key. I think Shingler he's an old man and stuff, and he's retiring, but the guy can play, and he's just got, I don't know, there's something about him where he just always seems to get an arm free and an offload and things like that. So I'm a big fan of Shenton as well, and I think he will come on. I think 6 is his position.
I think he will.
But that's his second start in his first season. So same for Tuipulotu. Tuipulotu had a couple of games when Callum Mahoney tried to decapitate Moriarty and got the card. So, and he was really starting to come into it. And I think it's more a case now that we're looking at who's going to be playing there next season. Who we and if that's the way we're going to play next season, fuck me, it's going to be a long season. It's do you know what I mean? It is going to be a real tough season next year. But we've got next week. There is a positive there that we've got something to look forward to. Our season's not over. Whereas the last couple of seasons, it very definitely has been. So, there's a step forward there for something.
I did say to you in the pub after the game that actually, in some ways, this might be a good thing for the Scarlets, because this might give them the kick up the arse they need going into Glasgow as well. So you can look at it two ways. You can think, well, take their eye off the ball going into it, on the back for disappointing defeat is not helpful. But in another sense, this could be the motivation, because Dwayne Peel now this week is going to be saying, look, boys, we can't play like that against Glasgow or our season's over, So it may just give them the kick up the arse and the motivation they need now to really turn it on against Glasgow on Saturday.
Well, we'll talk about Glasgow game later, but what I will say about that is there are less than 2,000 tickets left available for that Glasgow game. Glasgow have sent back most of their tickets because they couldn't sell them. There's only about 500-600 Glasgow supporters coming down apparently, and the rest of it will be a sea red. So from that point, and a couple of Ospreys going, oh, fuck you, Scarlets, wankers, and stuff like that. There'll be a couple of them in the back as well, but
that's James today.
I will never step foot in that stadium. The last time I stepped foot in that stadium, Ben John's career was ended by Steph Evans, so I will never be going back there.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last game I went to at the Park of Scarlets.
Holding a grudge, yeah.
I am. But Ben John's doing very well for himself, so I'm not going to hold it.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, let's talk Ospreys Cardiff, and me and Jamie are going to be quiet for a while. So, who wants to talk first?
Well, I'll bring my not knowing much about rugby, sort of boisterous, overexcited approach first, and then I'll pass over to James's obvious knowledge of the game. So, fair play to the Ospreys. They held out for 25 minutes. Sorry, low blow. But what a response to losing your coach! What a response to the funeral of Peter Thomas. A very important figure to Cardiff rugby for decades upon decades. From when I started supporting, just remember him coming down the steps. From 1 to 15, the match day 23. It was brilliant with special mentions in it for Thomas Williams, who just played one of the best games he's played for any team this season. Thomas Young, really with his dad's going through what he's going through. We're saying now that sort of disconnect he has to have with his dad came on, as you called him, James, the consummate professional, came on and an absolute blinder sort of thing. And again, like what Jamie was on about, was speaking about the Dragons and what have you, that the Scarlets didn't turn up. I've heard a lot of that about the Ospreys, but I feel like the Cardiff defence was just it was very aggressive. It was very in the Ospreys' face, and like Hodge just said in the post-match, we just tried to take them from east to west all game, because you undoubtedly had the bigger pack. And that front row, when I saw it on paper, I just thought, here we go. Like, do you mean that's at least 25 penalties right there? Like, do you mean I thought we scrummaged, even though we lost a few, and we were clearly buckling, but we scrummaged quite well. I'm really liking, especially if he can carry on throwing straight, that front row of Kieran Azarati, Liam Belcher, and Corey Demachowski. So I pray and hope that we can keep them for next season, because I think we've lost our hype. Obviously lost Dylan Lewis. I haven't heard anything about carriers yet, but who knows?
Rob Evans is available.
Sorry?
Yeah, Rob Evans.
Any pro apparently, the rumours are. Apparently he's supposed to be dropping down. It's just rumours at the moment. There's rumours circulating that he's going to drop down to semi-pro. I've heard Murphy's name mentioned. I mean, can you imagine that? Going from 2019 Grand Slam to going through to play the Murphy.
That's cool.
What a come down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What a come down. Anyway, carry on, Rees.
Worse than that. Worse than that, he could end up at Cardiff. You know.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
That's it. A whole new career for himself doing just that. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm retired. No, I'm not. No, I'm back. One more game. And
then I just thought it was brilliant. Like what typified the game for me was it Thomas Williams taking the ball from Alan Wynne and then just popping it up to an oncoming Thomas Young to score that try. And that sort of typified the game. I thought Mason Grady showed out and out pace, but he's clearly a centre and not the finisher a winger needs to be.
He was good on the wing. He was really good.
Yeah,
he was good. But like I felt that like somebody a more naturalised winger would have scored some of those tries, sort of thing, or put a hand out first maybe and stuff like that. But his pace and his strength are ridiculous, isn't it? He just he'd stop and then put his palm against somebody's chest and then just shove them off him, like, you know. He's so I'm really looking forward to seeing him if we can keep him. But that's got to be the caveat to everything I say about any player now, isn't it? Develop as I want to see him at 13, and I think he can start to really sort of dominate that position for Cardiff, like in the future.
And Wales.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Dominate for Wales.
To sort his defence out, undoubtedly, but that he's all right there on the weekend. But yeah, so it was just big smile on my face on Saturday, man, and I was not expecting it. With that, and that's the best sort of the best nights out are the ones you don't expect to go on, aren't they? So
that's true. Yeah.
So what was the engagement party like after then? That you
what was the engagement party after? My drumming was probably a lot faster than what it should have been. The sheer excitement to some of the things, and we got some slow songs as well. And even those, I was like on a chain, like trying to just make sure. And I get excitable on the drums anyway, like, you know. But yeah, that added a little bit
like that.
Yeah. Bit animal.
Passing the shit out of the drums like Tommy.
We finish on Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I was just let off the leash, like, you know.
Welsh Shield.
Welsh Shield, yeah. I'm gonna celebrate that, man. Whatever we get, like, I'm gonna celebrate. But yeah, that's me done. I'm happy with my input this week.
What do you reckon to that then, James?
Yeah, I was going to say, if we were putting this on YouTube, there'd be some absolute classic photos of you there going like, "Oh, fucking hell."
You would notice though my Major League Rugby jersey, my Rugby United New York original jersey.
Yeah, nice.
Which I paid way too much money for. But no, I think from an Osprey point of view, the first thing I want to say is to those pricks who gave Toby Booth some sort of horrible abuse on social media after the game, which he mentioned, which for Toby Booth to mention in his press conference, you know, clearly shook him or clearly bothered him, is, you know, it's not on. I think. Was
he tagged into it though? Did they tag him into it?
Well, the one I have seen and the tweet that's sort of doing the rounds around sort of Ospreys fans did tag him.
I hate that. That's the most cunty thing you could do with social media, when you tag players and coaches criticising. Hate it.
But you know, first off, I think, you know, if you disagree with selection, you disagree with tactics, that's absolutely fine. But to go and tag someone or to even just give them anything else other than constructive criticism, I think is, you know, just an absolute dick's move, you know.
Yeah.
But saying that, you know, I think the Ospreys were outplayed. You know, I think Booth said it best in his press conference at Dairy Lake afterwards. Cardiff won the contact area. They won the breakdown. You know, you can't win a game giving away 12 penalties in the first half. That's Scarlets levels of penalties we're getting into.
They Dragons actually, but yeah.
But you know, and right, Frank Murphy is a contentious ref, right? You know, we all probably have opinions on Frank Murphy, and I think especially around scrum time, I don't agree with all of his decisions. But the fact that we didn't adapt to him whatsoever, I think I think that cost us a lot. I think we gave away mistakes. I think it's the second try. Thomas Williams picks that ball up off the knock on.
Yeah,
yeah.
And there's no one there.
I'm not expecting Adam Beard, who is talking to the ref to chase down Thomas Williams there. But you can't. It's the first thing you're taught in minis rugby is you don't turn off. You play to the whistle every time. And we didn't do that. Yeah, it happened twice, I think the back row selection was all wrong. I'm a big Rees Davis fan. I think he is probably, I think him and Teddy Williams are two of Wales's future stars in that second row.
Lots of potential.
Yeah, but he's not. He can be a six, but not in that against that back row. I think when he played six against Leicester in the Champions Cup this season, he was brilliant because Leicester and Ospreys have a very similar pack. They play a similar style of very direct rugby, so he works. Ethan Roots, who I think has been the most underrated player for the Ospreys this year. I think he got his plaudits at Saracens, but every time he's put on that jersey, he gives 110%.
Yeah, big loss, isn't it, to lose him?
Big loss, and I absolutely, I'm gutted. I think him and Deeves should have been starting 6 and 7. I think Harry Deeves was unwell this week, which is why he wasn't up for selection. But if you have, you have Deeves and you have Roots, and then you have Morgan Morris, who I'll get onto in a second, who was outstanding again.
Yes,
it's a bit more of a balance against that Cardiff back, which is an all-star back row for Cardiff, I think.
Yeah,
and having both of them off the bench as well. And I think then the weird decision to start Gareth Anscombe and Owen Williams together. I don't get this whatsoever. Owen Williams steers that ship really well, and I think having Owen Williams at 10 with Kieran running shorter lines, things like that, it works better than shipping the ball one phase more to Owen to try and get Kieran on the outside, because he's not a 13. And I've grown up playing against Kieran in junior rugby, and then he played for Gleneath when I was in various teams in around Swansea. He's a 12. He's never been anything but a 12. And I think to stick him at 13 is doing him, and it made him look worse than he is.
I think it exposed part of the reason why he hasn't played for Wales.
Yeah,
he's a very, very good straight direct runner.
Yeah,
and he'll give you 5-10 meters, and particularly when he gets in low, because he is different, because he's quite small and he's quite
shorter than me. He's about 5'10", 5'9", I think.
Yeah,
but also he's an excellent defender at 12 as well. If the way Ospreys defend, he makes it. He's really good at defending at 12. But when you put him at 13, and with Owen Williams inside him, who is not the most confident defender, it creates a stupid mismatch. And I think, as much as I love Rees Webb, and yes, it was a 200th appearance, Ruben Morgan Williams is such a good scrum half.
He looked better when he came on.
He's got the pace. I think he does need to tune his box kicking slightly. But I think the standards for the Ospreys are the ones who have been given contracts this week. Nicky carried well, scrummaged well. Morgan Morris, made 11 tackles, somehow made 60 meters against that sort of ferocious Cardiff defence. I thought Michael Collins played well at fullback. I think Geston Hopkins and Max Nagy are the future. I don't think Nagy's been right since his injury, hence why he's not played as much.
Nagy, right. Hang on a second. Now,
go on.
Let me go back a sec. I was telling you about the people that were sat next to us in the stadium, the Cardiff people.
Yeah.
They're half Hungarian. So the guy that I was talking to will know this. And he says it's not Max Nagy. It's the I is silent. It's a Hungarian name. It's from a Hungarian. I had a whole fucking 10 minutes of this. It's Max Nag or Naj, something like that. Max Naj. And this guy kind of like, that's a quite a well-known surname in, and we've been pronouncing it wrong all the way through. And then Carwyn said something about listening to the podcast, and the guy switched off. But yeah, so it's Max Naj or something like that. It is. Anyway,
are we sure that's true? Are we absolutely sure this
is this like Sean Holly trying to say Tipperick again? Tippy Rich.
Yeah, I was definitely there, and this guy was definitely there, and
we know that, but it's true what he said. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I haven't spoken to many Hungarians, I'll be honest with you. His wife was Hungarian. That's what it is. The kids are half Hungarian. His wife was Hungarian, and that's where he got it from. So, I mean, I got no reason to doubt him. But, you know, I throw that in there.
Look up Max Nagy, see if it's got any...
I just thought I'd throw that in there while the name came up. It just came back to me as you said it. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
I think the selection that Booth, I can see what Booth was going for. Absolutely. I think you have three playmakers on the field in Collins, in Williams, in Anscombe. You want to move that Cardiff backline about. You know, you want to get right. And clearly, you know, when we did look our most physical, we scored 3 tries out of it. You know, the line out was okay again, but we can't keep relying on Sam Parry to score 800 tries off a line out and Dewi Lake to do the same. You know, I firmly believe that with the right coaching setup, Toby Booth can do wonders with that squad. And as much as I love Richard Fussell and I loved watching him growing up, he's not the right person to take our attack forward.
See, I thought the Ospreys attack was very similar to the Scarlets attack. It just disappeared on Saturday.
Yeah.
All of the Ospreys tries came through either line out drives or in close. And there wasn't, I can't remember any part of that game where Ospreys kind of broke the Cardiff backline. And there were 2 opportunities, and this is what we'll say about Kieran Williams, where he's got a one-on-one and space outside his man.
Yeah,
he's not the step and go sort of a person, you know, and he just went straight into him and took his player back 10 meters, and you're going like, that is where you need that. That was like one of the few opportunities where something could have happened, and it didn't. I think George North had like 3 passes in the whole game.
I think where Ospreys look best going forward is when we have Jack Walsh playing 10. I think if you look at across the season where Ospreys have attacked the best is Jack Walsh playing 10. And we've crumbled in some of them games. I think the Dragons game at Rodney Parade, the first try, he put George North through a beautiful hole where he just fades across the defence, puts him on a short line. Glasgow at home, he was brilliant. And Ben Otono Zebra away. It's just that other parts of the game that we clearly need to work on. I think Owen Williams then has the capability of playing that expansive or that, you know, sexy rugby, as you want to call it. You know, we showed it at times, I think, in Montpellier at home, that try we score I think it's our 3rd try. You know, Owen Williams ran some lovely lines around, but I don't think Gareth Anscombe was on. I think Gareth Anscombe was thinking 2 steps ahead of where his centres and his 9 was thinking. I think, ironically, I think Gareth Anscombe is too good for that backline. He's the reason he was so good at Cardiff, I think he had great backs with him.
Yeah.
You know, he had Patch there. Who else would he have at the time?
Halaholo,
Ray Lilo. I think, they're more his type of players. I think when Ospreys have looked best is when Owen Williams is putting Kieran Williams in nice gaps, and you've got nice support lines from like Giles or Luke Morgan. You know, so I think there's been a bit of an overreaction from Ospreys fans on this weekend. I think 2 bad games in a row, and they think we're back to Alan Clark era Ospreys. where we're losing to the Southern fucking Kings in the middle of November. We're not. We're nowhere near that level. I think it's just been a long old season where, we've played a lot of rugby. We've had a tough tour to South Africa, and I think the squad looked tired. I think that, and I think they were ready for the season to be over. And it's just a case of rebuilding now. We're going to have minimal recruitment. I can see us getting 1 or 2 players in on cheap. We know some people are leaving. Elvis Tyone is definitely leaving. The bloke's nearing bus pass territory now. But
he's going to end up in Cardiff, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to end up in Cardiff. You want to hook a look and throw, you can have Elvis if you want. Although there was a rumour a couple of months ago, I think it was after the Ospreys Cardiff game in Cardiff House Park, that Cardiff were going after Dewi Lake.
Okay.
How can they afford him?
No, exactly.
They were going after him for. They wanted an autograph on their ball, mate. That's about as close as they're going to get.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But I just think in terms of Ospreys, I think it was just we got the tactics and we got the selection wrong, and Cardiff was simply better. And sometimes that's fine. Rugby is about winners and losers.
That's always fine with Cardiff.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. But Cardiff were better, and I think Ospreys will turn that tide and come back stronger, because we have before.
Yeah, you make a really good point about. Sorry, just to quickly say, you make a good point about the attack, because I think that's Ospreys' biggest weakness in their game. You've got a really good, strong forward pack, and you build your game around your forwards, but your attack is so blunt.
Yeah.
It really is blunt, and it's like you said, maybe you do need to change the attack coach. I don't know, like we were saying earlier, I thought George North was anonymous on Saturday. Like, he was absolutely anonymous, because even my dad said, he's playing this. He's done absolutely nothing. And I actually think Ospreys look better with Owen Williams at 10. I think I'm a big fan of his, and I do think he looks better. I think Jack Walsh is one for the future, but he can be a bit flaky at times. But going forward for the Ospreys, it's going to be difficult, losing a lot of key players. But I think that the attack is something they really need to sharpen up going into next season, because it is an ongoing problem.
Can we just give a shout out to Harry Morgan as well? We didn't cover that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Of course.
We did have a few people we didn't hear.
His journey and his story, absolutely awe-inspiring. Go check out the interviews, the statement he made. And on top of that as well, he's stepping away from the game. I think people forget how good a player he was at under-20s level, and the limited appearances he's made for the Ospreys. It should have been Ruben Morgan-Williams and him leading sort of the Ospreys scrum halves into the future. But, as injuries and family bereavements and the toll on his mental health means that, he's stepping away from the game. And that is, I'm an absolute supporter of him. And, I hope he's doing better.
To come forward and say those things as well, sort of thing. It just,
very brave young man.
It has such a positive influence on other people, sort of thing, especially like the season that's just happened with people, their livelihoods and all sorts going on. It'll just have such a positive impact. So you've got to give him massive credit. You're right, James.
That's why it's important to share your story, because it can help and inspire other people. So Harry's done a really good thing. He's a brave young man to come forward like that. Takes a lot of guts, and fair play to hopefully will help other people. Yeah,
absolutely.
And if you remember earlier in the season, we had a couple of guests lined up to talk about mental health, about how players move through their career, and then the Welsh rugby shitstorm happened, and they kind of got bumped and all of that kind of stuff. So it will be good to come back and talk about it, because he won't be the only one that is in that position. There'll be lots of players that have had decent seasons and find themselves without a club, or they may have been injured halfway through the season, and half their season's gone, and they were expecting to get another season to prove what they can do, and then it's like, well, sorry, son, but bang. So hopefully by him saying, you know what, it's okay, these things pass. these things, if you can work your way through it and seek the help, and by speaking out, he's saying to people, it's okay to talk out, it's okay to say these things, and you can get through it and you can move on with your life. So yeah, hopefully we can come back and talk about that a bit more, maybe through the summer. But yes,
we forget that, don't we? As supporters, we forget about like the mental health aspect of the players. Like sometimes we criticize them and we say he's rubbish and all that, but we forget how tough it must be mentally and physically, and the drain on these players, especially the current climate in Welsh rugby, where it's very difficult. People don't know if they got jobs next season, and there is a stigma around men's mental health as well. So it's really good that people like Harry come out, and it helps to break the stigma and get more men talking about it.
And talk with each other, talk with your friends, just be open about it and stuff like that. And there's no shame in it at all, sort of thing. Like it's so important.
It's okay not to be okay. That's the saying. That's
I remember when I first started doing this pod with you guys, I went on Twitter for the first time in ages, and then like that some of the comebacks made me shocked, and I'm like, how many listeners we got, like doing that, and I still got like shouted down and going, oh my god, like, do you mean? So if you're that high profile and like you have a bad game or you say something out of a thing, like everybody sort of pounces on you, don't they? Like, and that takes its toll as well, doesn't it? So
So I'm glad you brought up that you're saying, it's okay to not be okay, because let's have a look at predictions from last week. So
I don't think that quite ties in with what I was saying, but okay.
So Rees, you predicted Scarlets by 15 and Cardiff by 7. Carwyn predicted Scarlets by 16, Ospreys by 8. Jamie, you predicted Scarlets by 10, Cardiff by 8. And I predicted Dragons by 5, Cardiff by 10. And so the actual results were Dragons by 17, Cardiff by 17, strangely enough. So the final week of our prediction league. Well, I say final week. However, we may have to rethink that, because there's an out-and-out winner from last weekend. So I won both of those games last weekend, because I was the only one that predicted the Dragons would win, and I wasn't that far off with Cardiff. So I got 8 points from last weekend. So I am the champion. I am by far and away. Fuck you, I won.
The champion of your own game, Lee.
Yeah. I invented the game, I made the rules, and if I'm not winning, I'm taking my laptop and I'm going home.
What's that old Al Murray joke? It's like the British were second to the Antarctic, but we verified that they were first, so we win.
Yeah, exactly. So bottom of the pile by quite a long chalk is Carwyn. Carwyn had 47 points. I had 68. In second place, joint second place, and this is where I think, hang on now, joint second place is Jamie and Rees. You were both in second place on 61 points. Okay, so we now have a decision to make about how to decide who actually comes second. So I have got the points variance there. And on the points variance, Jamie, you were 284. Rees, you were 287. So technically on the points variance, Jamie wins that. But I thought it would be more fun if we actually decided who comes second by the Scarlets Glasgow result. We'll have one more round. I'm not going to play in that Scarlets Glasgow game, because my fucking lucky berry has deserted me. So it's just for you two to make a prediction. Yeah. So it'll be just then, that'll decide who comes second. So let's briefly talk about Scarlets Glasgow, and then you guys can make your predictions, and then we're done. So, like I said, they've opened up the east stand, which I've only ever been sat in the east stand once, which was for an Ospreys game. So yeah, it's pretty much full. The last time it was this full, they put the seating in front again, and they added in another 2,000. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an announcement on Wednesday saying that that's what's going to happen. Yeah, it's all been quite positive up until Judgement Day. I think as a spectacle, it'll probably be it's going to be a good game. Like I say, there aren't going to be many Glasgow supporters there. I think Glasgow have had a fantastic season. But yeah, I think you were right what you were saying earlier, James, about, you know, sometimes you need a bit of a spanking to set you back right and go, actually, you know, enough for the pissing around now, boys. It's time to do something decent here. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. I don't think I'm going to the game, unfortunately. But
how come?
Prior commitments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't go anywhere without my lucky berry, and if that's the sacrifice I've got to make,
I can't talk. I can go to Judgement Day.
Yeah, but yeah, I may do. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the game anyway. I think it's going to be a massive game. Yeah, what do you guys make of it?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I reckon the Scarlets will win. I reckon at Parker Scarlets, with with all those tickets sold, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric. I reckon they could be absolutely. They have been playing good stuff recently, haven't they? We've been talking about it on the pods, with some fantastic rugby being played. I think at home, with that kick up the backside that this game and hopefully the coaches will give them, I reckon it's going to be a Scarlets victory.
Okay, so it is the test of the water now. James.
Actually, I was just looking at the Glasgow Connacht game actually, and Connacht, without a few of their bigger names, pushed Glasgow to the limit.
They did, yeah.
And go to the Scarlets game the other week where we had the brilliant TMO in performance. I thought, absolutely fantastic. Credit to the referees. I think, but I think the home advantage has to sway the Scarlets. I think that set piece has to be perfect because I think Glasgow, as Jamie found out, will punish you through driving mauls.
Oh yes.
I think is Lousy going to be available for that game? Do you think?
Apparently, he's not on the injury list.
Okay.
So we think he's just being rested. Or
so I think that Lousy Fafita axis has to be, squeaky clean to begin with, but also do their amazing carrying bits. I think Costello can't be as bad as he was against Dragons. He's got to have a better game. He's got to control the game better.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything other than this. It pains me to say this, other than a Scarlets home win.
Well, that's being clipped. I'm going to clip that and repeat that over. I think the Ospreys supporters and all sorts.
I think it's just going to be too much of Glasgow coming all the way down with no support. They have threats, but they had them threats at Scotstoun the last time they played Scarlets, and they didn't do. All right, the weather was horrible and the referee was useless, but they still had them. The only other key battle there is the battle at scrum half. I think if Gareth Davies starts, Scarlets win.
Yeah.
But him versus George Horne, I think is a fantastic, because George Horne, runs the best support lines in the URC. He runs 10 meters ahead of rucks. But the Gareth Davies sort of renaissance that we've seen, is almost 2019-esque. I think he's playing the best rugby since the Rugby World Cup in 2019.
Yeah, yes.
And I hope he carries that through, because I think, I think he could go in that battle between him and Thomas going into the World Cup. Actually, probably takes the pressure off Rees Webb, because I think him going as third choice rather than second or first suits Webb more.
Rees Webb will be sunning himself in Spain, mate. That's where he'll be
You
watching
know,
the World
he'll
Cup.
be in Basque Country. He's only an hour on the plane. You know, who's the other alternative? Lewis Jones. So.
Don't mention that guy's name on this pod again.
But no, I think it's going to be a Scarlets win. I think it's Scarlets by 6. I'll go.
Okay, so James, so this is where we get to the serious bit now. James, I need a prediction from you, and Reese, I need a score prediction from you,
yeah.
And that's got to be, this is for runners up in the prediction league now. So, Jamie,
by 13.
All right. Well, there we go. So Reese is confident. He's gone early. He's gone with Scarlets by 13. Jamie?
See, I'm finding this really hard to call because when you actually look at the two teams, Glasgow should win. They should win because they are the better team. Scarlets have lost back-to-back games. Glasgow have lost just one game in their last 17. Mm-hmm. They are coming into this in shit-hot form, and they are a very, very good team. Franco Smith has done a great job there since he's come in. And you got Hupalatu there as well, of course. I didn't really want to say Hupalatu, but, they are very, very good players. But I do agree with what the other guys are saying. I think the fact that this is at Park of Scarlets, it should be a full house. Sounds like it will be. I think that could be key. But then the only other thing is, you say about Glasgow not bringing away support. They went to Munster in the URC, and I doubt they would have had any fans there. They fucking took Munster to the cleaners, mind. So they are a very, very dangerous team, and I'm tempted to go with Glasgow, but I got a feeling, I just got this feeling the Scarlets are going to win. It's going to be tight. It's going to be edgy like it was against Claremont. I'm going to go Scarlets by 2 points.
Ooh, Scarlets by 2, Scarlets by 13, Scarlets by 6. I'm going to go Scarlets by 1 just because I just don't want to fucking cock this up. Yeah, it's looking good for the last week.
Who's refereeing it? Do we know? Is it announced?
Me. I've thrown my hat into the ring.
If there's anything like your score predictions, we're all fucked.
Thank God you throw your hat. You got rid of that.
Yeah.
I throw my berry into the ring.
Yeah, I did see the other day. I can't remember because they announced them all really early. It might be. I can't remember. It is on social media. I haven't seen it on social media.
No, it's John Lacey.
Oh.
Who's the TMO?
TM, so I'm just reading it out. Assisted by Andrew Brace and Frank Murphy. Or IRFU. Oh, so all Irish.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. No, ignore me. I'm talking bollocks. I'm looking at the Pro 14 semi-fight. I'm looking at a completely old tweet. I just Googled Glasgow, Scarlets, Glasgow Red, and it came up with a tweet from 2014. I'm trying to find it. No, sorry.
I'm just going to clip the bit again where Jamie says, I'm talking bollocks.
I know, I was about to say, innit?
I'm talking bollocks.
Wrong tweet.
It's,
just ignore that.
Yeah. Right. So, in that case, then, gents, I think we're done for the night. I think it's been a pleasure. Yeah. So, James, thank you for stepping in, mate. It's been.
Thank you very much. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good one. It's really nice having just normal people on. Do you know what I mean? Not like rugby mega superstars and all that kind of stuff. It's good having just normal people and
fans.
Fans on. Yeah. Well, we started this because it was going to be the fans' voice. It was going to be the fans' point of view. So to have a few more different fans on is great. So I hope you enjoyed it, mate. We'll
nice one. Good to meet you.
We shall have to do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, gents. We'll have something else. If Scarlets do the job next weekend, we'll have another game to talk about next weekend, and I'll be over the moon. If
Come
not,
on, Glasgow.
Yeah. Fuck off.
I might not be available next week if Scarlets win because you're going to be fucking unbearable on Twitter. It's going to really piss me off next week. I don't mind the Scarlets, but your lot are unbearable when you start winning. You really are, and it's going to be hard work. Imagine if you win it. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, dear.
It'd be like Bill Bow all over again. Still haven't got going on about that.
Well,
move on to the Sharks.
I was going to say, to be fair, Rees hasn't mentioned the Sharks game all episode. Right, on that, gents, we shall do this all again next week. I shall bid you farewell. Enjoy your rugby and all the best. Good night, gents.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Wrap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week with more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.